this is an iHeart podcast. Guaranteed human.
Feeling overwhelmed by stress and uncertainty? You're not alone, and encouragement is closer than you think. At intouch.org, Dr. Charles Stanley's ministry provides powerful sermons, daily devotionals, and resources designed to strengthen your faith. It's more than information, it's transformation. Discover peace in the chaos, clarity in confusion, and practical wisdom for everyday life. Whether you're seeking hope, guidance, or simply a reminder of God's presence, intouch.org is here for you. Visit today. You'll be glad you did. In emergencies, storms, floods, or natural disasters, communication is your lifeline. Rapid Radios deliver rugged, reliable devices built to perform when networks fail. Secure up to 60% off their emergency-ready radios, no contracts, and a whole year of service included. Trusted by first responders, communities nationwide, hundreds of thousands of customers, and backed by over 15,000 five-star reviews. Rapid Radios ensure clear, dependable communication when it matters most. Don't wait. Equip yourself today. Rapid Radios. Communication redefined. Visit rapidradios.com and protect what matters most.
Sink into affordable luxury. Anabay is the only machine-washable sofa, inside and out. With stain-resistant slip covers and a cloud-like frame duvet, everything goes right in the wash. Plus, the modular design lets you change the look of your space anytime. Visit washablesofas.com to upgrade your home. Shop up to 60% off site-wide, with sofas starting at just $699 and a 30-day money-back guarantee. Shop now at washablesofas.com. Offers are subject to change, and certain restrictions may apply.
These days, it seems like AI agents are just about everywhere you turn, every field and every function. But without identity, you can't trust they'll serve your business instead of jeopardizing it. Fortunately, Okta helps you get identity right by securing your AI agents' identities, giving you a single layer of control, a single standard of trust. So whether an AI agent supports a single user or your entire enterprise, with Okta, you'll turn risk into opportunity. Secure every agent. Secure any agent. Okta secures AI.
Welcome, everybody, to the second hour of the Travis and Buck Sexton Show. And we are joined by David Yates. He's a senior fellow at the Heritage Foundation, a former White House national security official. Our friend, Mr. Yates, great to have you, sir. What's going on?
Well, it's great to join you. Thanks so much.
So we want to ask you about whether we're going to war with Iran. It's a big question. And the reason we're asking is because, as we know, there's sort of a dual track situation playing out. On the one hand, there's negotiations, I think in Geneva, sounds right, over Iran's nuclear program that the administration is involved in. And then there's also a substantial buildup of military assets, aerial assets, specifically F-35s, F-22s in the Mideast, prepared for what could be a sustained aerial campaign against Iran. What do you see happening here? How do you think this plays out?
Well, Buck, I think that the president and his team are doing far more than any of its predecessors to kind of increase the chances of a negotiated settlement of sorts. It's very, very difficult to see there being any security from the nuclear program under the current regime. That's why the president says that if the regime were to change, that might be better. He's not saying he's going to do it. But the armada that is there is doing two very substantial things. It is stopping the illegal support for the Iranian regime financially. That has been a big vulnerability in the past. And of course, it has the ability to strike hard, and the president has proven a willingness to do that not very long ago. So this should increase the chances of a negotiated settlement. But I have to say, bottom line, I don't see this regime in Iran negotiating in good faith in an appropriate amount of time. So I think the odds of a strike that would be an active war but not a total war, very high over the next 2 weeks.
Okay, so what is the goal of the strikes? Thanks for coming on, Steve. I mean, I think that is kind of where we dive into next, because the understanding that we had, and I think it was the right decision on the first strike, was this is directly attributed to trying to eliminate Iran's nuclear arsenal, right? Or their ability to develop a nuclear arsenal. Are we trying to replace the Ayatollah with this strike? Are we still going after nuclear weapons? I think this needs to be a huge part of the discussion in general, is what is the strategic goal here? Do you have a sense for that? And How do you think the administration goes about making that choice?
Well, I completely agree that it's necessary. We've fought off the ghosts of Iraq in many, many different ways. But that idea of making it clear what the strategic objective is and what America's role is relative to other countries' role, very, very clear. I think that the targets that they would hit would look more military, so it would be nuclear, but also some of the ballistic missile and other capabilities to demonstrate that we can do this and there's nothing they can do about it, and knock them back a little bit to maybe buy more time and see whether they sober up for real negotiations. There's, I think, this added layer of statements that were made about the atrocities that are committed by the regime, the human rights violations, and I have deep sympathy for that, but I don't think that is the proper use of the U.S. military. I think that's the area that has to be made much, much more clear. The strike had to be degrading the capabilities of the regime while they have maximum pressure to degrade the economic capabilities of the regime. And the rest of the world is going to have to step in and help handle some of the other elements of the political transformation, in my view.
You know, Steve, yes, the ghosts of the Iraq and Afghanistan wars loom large in all these conversations. And I think that's a good thing. I mean, in terms of making sure that we don't get pulled into something. And I think Trump is very wary of getting pulled into something deeper and in much greater risk to us and to our people than we want to be. So as part of that, one of the conversations that I think keeps coming up, and people have been asking me, so I wanted to pose this to you and get your take on it. In Venezuela, okay, we took Maduro out and, well, took him to a prison cell in New York. But there was a clear pathway of other people, and really much of the rest of the regime is in charge there now. So there's kind of an ongoing negotiation process about what will happen and how that country moves forward. But the U.S. clearly has a lot of leverage. What is the opposition in Iran? Do we have any real sense as to if the mullahs fall, if they fall, who takes over?
Buck, that is the most important issue that they have to work through. And I don't take it as a given that whatever the U.S. does in the near term is going to be about regime change. I think what they demonstrated in Venezuela is that a step along the way is that we are going to change maybe the nature of the current regime and renegotiate sort of the terms of trade and dealing with the United States and the world. And under these new terms, maybe we buy more time for a longer-term transition to whether it's an opposition or a reformed country. But in Venezuela, the opposition is not yet in charge. It may be in the not-too-distant future if there's an election. The same goes with Iran. I mean, the de-Baathification issue in Iraq, which you know as well as anybody, just is one of the biggest ghosts of what people think of as a failure in the Iraq strategy. Keeping some of those institutions in place so there isn't broader instability and mayhem across the region is one of the priorities they have to have. So I think there could be a move that gets at the top leadership, and there could be a change to someone else in the regime. Personally, I would love it if this regime went away. But I personally just think that the U.S. role is to strike hard the way no one else can, to contain fallout as best anyone can. But it's the Abraham Accords countries and others that really need to be managing more of how do we have an economic and political relationship that's different with Iran.
We have a lot of Iranian listeners on this program. A couple of months ago, we opened up phone lines and said, hey, what kind of support is there in your social networks for Iranians in the United States for the royal family to be installed in some way as a holder of power that is a transition to potentially a new government? Do you like that idea, Steve? Is that a crazy idea in your mind? Again, building on what we learned in Iraq, sweeping out one group and trying to replace another can be dangerous, but there is some form of nostalgic, positive reflection on the royal family, if only based on how awful things have been under the mullahs.
Well, I agree, and that could be a viable alternative, but I think one of the things we felt got stung in the Iraq situation was having a leader that comes into place that is just viably identified as the American choice. And for a lot of the world that suffers from pretty high dose TDS, if it's perceived as being Trump's choice, There could be a problem of trying to hold coalitions and investment and other security engagements that are necessary for that transition. I think that might explain why we have this muddled or middle ground approach in Venezuela too. If the opposition was seen as chosen by the United States and our president, then there could be maybe grounds for greater resistance. So a more organic and sort of stepping stones across the river approach seems to be the way they've gone at that. That might be more what they try with Iran. But I do think that looking at viable alternatives to the theocratic regime, most of the diaspora agrees with that, which is a fancy way of saying the people who are Iranian that live overseas. And then I think there are also large parts of Persian culture that are not Islamists that could work with that kind of an approach, but it needs to be seen and protected as being the Iranian people's choice.
Steve, I'm in South Florida, and so I got to ask, how shaky do you think the regime in Cuba is?
Yeah, I think it's very shaky. And that's an area where I think, oddly, while people wouldn't attach smart power to the Make America Great Again foreign policy, I think that we've used some very effective levers that are non-military. We've used our military to cut off the oil. That is an immense pressure on them. The move in Venezuela politically was tied very, very close to them. So in terms of political warfare, and economic security, we've really maxed options. And so I think we've got the best shot we've had for this external pressure campaign to maybe give a different path forward. But what fascinates me is really in Venezuela, Cuba, Iran, and maybe other places, we're really seeing a very sophisticated approach to easing these transitions without America going in to push it too far and have it blow up back on us.
Buck asked a good question about Cuba, and I'm utterly fascinated about that. But also on Iran, you mentioned it. I think this is important. There's a big difference oftentimes between what is publicly said and what is privately said, particularly from the other Middle Eastern countries, Saudi Arabia et al., that clearly have made the decision they don't like Iran and would like to see changes made there. Do they actually want the Ayatollah out, in your impression? This is the Saudi Arabias, the Bahrains, the UAEs, just kind of running all through all these different countries that are technically Muslim countries but are not allied with Iran? Or do they deep down like the fact that the Ayatollah is such a disaster that they don't have to worry about Iran as a regional threat so long as he is there, and therefore don't actually want him gone? Do we have a sense on that?
Well, I think there is a pretty clear sense. And, in our country, I don't think enough Americans appreciate the fact that the Iranian regime has threatened to kill our president more than once over the history of this dispute. That kind of matters. I mean, just remember, presidents are human beings, but also you just can't allow that if you are a sovereign power and a global power. And these other regional allies, believe me, they have suffered under assassination attempts and other kinds of violence against them. They have blood feud with the theocratic regime across the water from them in many cases, some across a border like Iran and Iraq. It's, I think, very, very clear to them that they would much prefer to have a reform-oriented government there, and they would invest heavily. And there is a path to peace and prosperity that way, but it's expanding the ethos of the Abraham Accords. And under the theocratic regime in Iran, that's not an option. They support the radical terrorists that attacked Israel and believe in river to the sea mentality, and that is not compatible with our allies in the Gulf.
Stephen, before we let you go, I'm sure you saw AOC showing up in Munich to show off her foreign policy skills. Did not go, I think, as planned. She was asked about this crazy thing that no one had ever heard of before, the China-Taiwan conflict, or the possibility of China-Taiwan open conflict. And her answer was hysterical. So we appreciate that the humorous component of this was covered. If you were to give AOC, if you were tutoring her on this issue, say, hey, here's what you should say, so you sound like you know what's really going on with China-Taiwan, what would be your 60-second or less answer to the question that she turned into, they have maps and stuff?
Well, it was mind-blowing, and if I were her, I would not go to a security conference and try to do that as a social media influencer. You better just do a 10-second search of Grok, and probably AI could have given better talking points. And I'd say you begin with the basics. Free people who are investing heavily in our country, we should be giving them the ability to defend themselves as much as humanly possible. And also, let's hold up some accountability and transparency with China. At the very least, stand with an ally like Japan, and let's see where we can go and avoid the conflict. I think she tried to get there. She couldn't land it. She borderline couldn't even speak. And I don't know why you go be a speaker at an international security conference not prepared for basic questions.
It is funny that you mentioned Grok because she has probably a staff of, how many people do you think work for AOC? 50, 100? I mean, if you go across everywhere, I mean, it's a huge number of people. And see, she could have just said, hey, how do I answer a question on Taiwan on Grok? And it would have given her an infinitely better answer than whatever staff she had trying to prepare her for that event. Steve, we appreciate you. We may need you back on when
war breaks out.
Officially,
he's going to have to fix the war when it breaks out. So, yeah.
That's right. Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Look, I was at Mar-a-Lago yesterday. Dress code, business casual. And producer Allie heard me and Buck heard me trying to figure out what should I wear. And one of the answers, even though Buck and I are not huge suit guys, is there's lots of awesome stuff with comfort in mind that Cozy Earth puts out there. They have luxury sheets. These are the most comfortable sheets you can sleep on. They have basically as many different products as you can possibly imagine, all designed with comfort in mind. And they also look great when you wear them, even with people like me who are not exactly fashion plates. You get hooked up right now. Go check it out. 100-day money-back guarantee, 10-year warranty, because they want you totally satisfied. Go online to CozyEarth.com. Use my name, Clay, for a 20% discount on your purchase, and you will get a post-purchase survey. One more time, CozyEarth.com, promo code Clay to get your discount on the purchase. That's CozyEarth.com, promo code CLAY.
Stories of freedom, stories of America. Inspirational stories that unite us all. Each day, spend time with Clay and Buck. Find them on the free iHeartRadio app or wherever you get your podcast.
You know, in today's world, it's easy to feel overwhelmed. News cycles move faster than ever, daily stress piles up, and uncertainty about the future can weigh heavily on our hearts. All of that adds up, leaving so many of us searching for a place of clarity, encouragement, and peace. Here's one place online that delivers on that, intouch.org. It's the online home of Dr. Charles Stanley's ministry, and it's more than just a website. It's transformation. There you'll find sermons that speak directly to real-life challenges, devotionals you can read every single day, and practical tools that give you strength when you need it most. You'll also discover podcasts, articles, and Bible study guides that help you grow deeper in your faith and apply God's truth to everyday life. If you're looking to grow spiritually, to find peace in the chaos, or to gain wisdom for the decisions ahead, intouch.org is there for you. Take a few minutes today. You'll be glad you did.
Tired of spills and stains on your sofa? Wash away your worries with Anabay. Anabay is the only designer sofa that's machine washable inside and out, starting at just $699. Plus, Anabay sofas are pet-friendly, stain-resistant, and feature changeable slipcovers and modular pieces. Get up to 60% off site-wide with a 30-day money-back guarantee. Visit WashableSofas.com to get yours now. That's WashableSofas.com. Offers are subject to change, and certain restrictions may apply.
These days, it seems like AI agents are just about everywhere you turn, every field and every function. But without identity, you can't trust they'll serve your business instead of jeopardizing it. Fortunately, Okta helps you get identity right by securing your AI agents' identities, giving you a single layer of control, a single standard of trust. So whether an AI agent supports a single user or your entire enterprise, with Okta, you'll turn risk into opportunity. Secure every agent. Secure any agent. Okta secures AI.
Running a business is hard enough, so why make it harder with a dozen different apps that don't talk to each other? One for sales, another for inventory, a separate one for accounting. Before you know it, you are drowning in software instead of growing your business. This is where Odoo comes in. Odoo is the only business software you'll ever need. It's an all-in-one, fully integrated platform that handles everything. CRM, accounting, inventory, e-commerce, HR, and more. No more app overload. No more juggling logins. Just one seamless system that makes work easier. And the best part, Odoo replaces multiple expensive platforms for a fraction of the cost. It's built to grow with your business, whether you are just starting out or already scaling up. Plus, it's easy to use, customizable, and designed to streamline every process, so you can focus on what really matters, running your business. Thousands of businesses have made the switch, so why not you? Try Odoo for free at odoo.com. That's ODOO.com.
Welcome back in, Clay, Travis, Buck Sexton show. We've got a lot of different stories that we're following. Buck, it is funny that we may go to war with Iran. We're going to talk with Steve Yates at 1 in like 30 minutes, roughly, about the possibility of war with Iran. Our friend Carol Marowitz will join us in the next hour to talk about issues of the day. But Prince Andrew being arrested has taken over the news cycle as opposed to whether we might go to war in the Middle East. And there are other news cycle moments that I think are worthy of discussion. And one of them just so happens to be us being completely right about the made up James Telerico interview. I know, Buck, you yesterday had FCC Commissioner Brendan Carr on. The team pulled a bunch of different cuts here, but here is a flashback from Tuesday's edition of the show where I said this is going to be so much more beneficial to Telerico in the Texas primary than running the actual interview was. It feels like a rig job. Here is cut 11. When I hear and see this controversy emerging, I say, my goodness, this is elite Democrat power brokers deciding to set up this James Telerico interview. If it airs, it's a huge bonus to him. But if it gets shut down under this FCC equal time doctrine, I would argue it's an even bigger bonus for him because most people would have never seen this but for the fact that Stephen Colbert went on and attacked his bosses for not letting him have on James Telerico. So guess who now is saying this? Stephen Colbert himself went on and said way more people watched this than ever would have seen it. This was on The Late Show with Stephen Colbert, cut 10.
Without ever talking to me, the corporation put out this press release, this statement. In it, they say The Late Show was not prohibited by CBS from broadcasting the interview with Representative James Telerico. The show was provided legal guidance that the broadcast could trigger the FCC equal time rule for two other candidates, including Representative Jasmine Crockett, and presented options for how the equal time for other candidates could be fulfilled. The Late Show decided to present the interview through its YouTube channel with on-air promotion on the broadcast rather than potentially providing the equal time options. So we obeyed our network and put the interview on YouTube, where it's gotten millions of views. And I can see why. Telerico's an interesting guy. I don't know if he should be the senator, but it was a good discussion. I wish we could have put it on the show where no one would have watched it.
Okay. So, Buck, here is the other thing on, this is Harry Enton, CNN data guru, sharing all the data. And again, this feels like such a rig job. The real victim here is not Stephen Colbert or James Telerico, Buck. And I can't believe I'm saying this. It's Jasmine Crockett. They're treating her.
Clay is pro royal family, pro Jasmine Crockett today.
I'm taking all the tough arguments today. Pro royal family and I'm defending Jasmine Crockett here because they're terrified she would be the nominee, the Democrat Party. And this reminds me of what they did to Bernie Sanders. When they did the rig job for Hillary Clinton, Jasmine Crockett is not allowed to go on with Colbert, doesn't get to make the case to the Texas Democrat Senate primary voters. And meanwhile, listen to Harry Enton. This is a huge story. The overall interest in Telerico has skyrocketed. This is CNN pointing out, hey, the controversy is way better than if he had just been able to go on the program in the first place.
You know, I'm going to quote one of my favorite singers and actresses, Barbra Streisand. There's a real Barbra Streisand effect going on here. What are we talking about here? Well, take a look here. Google searches for James Telerico. In the U.S., up 4,900% today versus Monday. How about in Texas, where you have that key Senate race going on there? Up like a rocket. We're talking about up 1,150%. So this has actually been very good news for James Telerico. You want that attention. You have that primary going on in a few weeks, and he's absolutely gotten it, both nationwide and, of course, very importantly, in the state of Texas as well, the highest on record.
So if you look at the gambling markets, right, the prediction markets, as it were, and you're curious, okay, what is the impact here? Telerico's chances since this story came out, Buck, of winning the primary in Texas have skyrocketed in this prediction market. He was starting to fade. Jasmine Crockett was rising, and it's like the Democrat Party ordered the hit. They used Colbert, and the real victim here, the bad guy is not Donald Trump. It's not CBS. It's not some executive who rightly pointed out the conflict here. It's all Jasmine Crockett just getting dunked on by her own party. This is all I can think. It feels so self-evident to me.
There's nothing that could have been more clear than this was an op, and you called it out right away, and I think it was definitely apparent to anyone seeing how this was going to go. But it reminds me of the old days with CNN and the Trump first term with Jim Acosta, when it was, oh my gosh, like they're shutting down the First Amendment. Look at how mean they're being to journalists. There's nothing better for his career than when Trump would make fun of him. There's nothing better for a CNN anchor than when Trump would go after them, because their audience loves to see that.
There's nothing better for Don Lemon than getting arrested. As we said on this program, the idea that he was going to bear consequences was just not true. It's the best thing that ever happened to his career.
And so this is this victim narrative that they create. It's all just self-serving nonsense, as we know. But the good news for everybody is James Telerico is going to get smoked in the Senate race. I mean, he's not going to come close, I think. It's going to be, he's Beto 2.0. Remember Beto? Wasn't he on the cover of Vanity Fair? It's like, oh, he's like so handsome. I think he married a rich woman. Like, this guy doesn't even have a real job. He's one of these people. He married a woman whose family has money, and, he wears jeans. And he's like, we're going to like take all your AR-15s and like, we're going to make a big pile of them and like light them on fire. And all the libs on the coast are like, he's amazing. And he wears Wrangler jeans and cowboy boots. So Texas will love him. And Texas was like, no, actually no. So yeah, I think this is Telerico is going to be just like Beto, and it's not going to work for him. So that's the good news.
Now, I do think the question here going forward is, I know they're going to toss, to the curb. Colbert's show in May, I think, is over. And in the meantime, as we could well have expected, he's throwing as many fits as he can, kicking and screaming on the way out to his show ceasing to exist. And then guess what's going to happen, Buck? Spotify, or someone like Spotify, is going to give Stephen Colbert $100 million to do a podcast, and Stephen Colbert is not going to be a victim. And then every single left-wing legacy media outlet in the country is going to do a huge story about how Stephen Colbert was a victim. I can tell you exactly how this is going to play out. His podcast is going to be highly rated because they're going to promote it like crazy, and he's going to do basically the exact same show on podcast, and he's going to make more money, and it'll be on YouTube, and they'll promote it, and they'll do a huge story about how Stephen Colbert is the big success and CBS are the losers. I can tell you exactly how the next year of Stephen Colbert's life is going to play out.
Which reminds me, they manufacture his popularity and they manufacture delusions, which is a fantastic book, Manufacturing Delusion, that all of you who have not already purchased your copy should go purchase a copy of, because this first week we have to beat John Meacham's book. Clay, I am getting John Meacham, for those you don't know, he's a presidential historian. There's a lot of books about these presidents, okay? But he became the go-to historian on Morning Joe alongside Beschloss to be like, Trump is Hitler and he's going to destroy America. I have people sending me because our books came out on the same day, that if you go to, let's just say, a large brick and mortar retailer with many stores across the country, in places, you will see that there will be like 15. There's a huge display of Meacham book. My book, you can't even find it. You have to go. It's almost like you're going to buy, the naughty book that you're not supposed to know exists. Who makes this decision? Corporate libs in these places. Because our books are neck and neck in sales. He has a giant display. Mine doesn't exist in physical copy unless you go and know the secret handshake for the guy, stocking in the back. This is what they do. So, help me out here. Show the communists that they don't get to just keep doing this nonsense. Go buy manufacturing delusion.
If you walk through a book, an airport, they will give you unbelievable placement at the front of a store for your left-wing book. You all see it. I will say, I'm in Amazon right now. Best review that I've seen so far. Phenomenal book analyzing how delusion has taken over this country. I just wish the author had more respect for Taylor Swift, the Beatles of her generation. Most liked review so far. That is from me inside of Amazon. And I am a verified purchaser, to be fair. You can see that if you doubted whether I paid my own money for Buck's book, it is in my Amazon account. I am Richard Clay Travis, just so you know. I'm actually nervous now that I've said that. I'm like, have I reviewed anything else? No, only a couple of things. So I was like, oh no, like what else have I reviewed on Amazon? Only a couple of books. Another one was like 15 years ago. Somebody asked me to review it. So that's the only reviews that are on my Amazon account, but that is my actual Amazon account. Go buy your copy of the book. Allie's saying they used to turn Rush's book over upside down. Look, what I would say is in the marketplace of ideas, I think about this all the time. How do you reach people that otherwise might not be aware of your arguments? We are incredibly thankful for all of you out there that are listening to us every day. And every day there's a few more of you than there were the day before. And that's been the case for each of the last 5 years. And that's a credit to the staff and the fact that we try to do a good job with this show. But there's also tens of millions of people that would like our arguments and do not get exposed to them. And so hopefully I hope that they are going to see your book and become aware that there are arguments like these being made.
Absolutely. Very important. So go check out Manufacturing Delusion. Tornadoes, hurricanes, forest fires, ice storms. In a country as large as ours, there's a lot of reasons for power outages to occur. And each of those can cause an immediate shutdown of the grid. Without warning, you're suddenly cut off from the people you care about most, unless you have a set of rapid radios at the ready. These are long-range emergency radios built for blackouts, natural disasters, and every unpredictable moment in between. They're small enough to hold in your hand, and with a single touch of a button, you're in touch with a family member or friend. Rapid radios just work. Clear communication, long battery life, and durability that stands up to real-world emergencies. Staying connected shouldn't depend on luck. It should depend on the tools you trust. If you want to protect your family during the next blackout, if you want peace of mind when the weather turns dangerous, take ownership of a set of rapid radios. Go to rapidradios.com right now. Check out the new Rad 1, see the full emergency features, and grab the launch offer while it's still live. When the world goes quiet, make sure you don't. Rapidradios.com.
Sometimes all you can do is laugh, and they do a lot of it with the Sunday Hang. Join Clay and Buck as they laugh it up in the Clay and Buck podcast feed on the iHeartRadio app or wherever you get your podcasts.
Welcome back in to Clay and Buck. Our friend Carol Marowitz of the Carol Marowitz Show on the Clay and Buck Podcast Network. And Normally, which she does with Mary Catherine Ham. Clay, have you been on the Normally Show yet? I haven't been on the Normally Show yet. Carol, how do we get on the Normally Show? You two cool
I don't,
ladies.
do you have guests with the duo show or not? I've been on with Carol, but I don't know if they do guests on the duo show.
No, we haven't. We haven't done guests yet, but if we were going to do guests, you two would be like in the top 10 easily.
Top 10?
Okay. Top 10. Clay and I
That's a pretty big group. You would make my top 100 list.
On.
That's how I got married. That's how I got married, Carol. I made the top 10.
I met your wife. That makes sense.
Carol, congratulations on all the success of the podcast, and people should go check out the Carol Marowitz Show. Now, hard turn here because we're about to get into something pretty intense, but it's important. Yeah. We had the second in less than 2 weeks, maybe 10 days apart or something, transgender mass shooting, someone killing their members of their own family. Mm-hmm. There was the one in British Columbia up in Canada, and now there's one that just happened in Rhode Island. This guy in Rhode Island was clearly the most, if you were drawing a picture or if you were trying to create in a laboratory somebody who was manifestly insane, it would be this guy. And the fact that this guy was not considered to be a serious mental health case that needed immediate attention long before this goes to there's just a complete unwillingness to see reality when it comes to this transgender stuff now.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And look, I'm reading this great book, Manufacturing Delusion. You may have heard of it, but the whole thing is, it really is so good. And it's so right for this moment because it's the same question going on with the transgender debate is like, are you going to tell the truth or are you going to have to parrot the line that we were told to parrot, which is that there's nothing wrong or odd or different about declaring yourself transgender and that there is no mental health component. I think that's absolutely ridiculous, especially when we're talking about young people, because we've seen the fact that it's such a social contagion. The number of gay people has not gone up basically in our lifetime, but the number of trans people has spiked. So it is this brainwashing thing that is happening across our culture, and it seems like people are waking up to it. But right as they're waking up to it, the number of violent incidents involving the transgender community have really spiked. And I think it is because they're constantly being told that they're under attack. This shooter in Rhode Island, he was on Twitter and he said that stop bashing us or this is why we go berserk, but no one was bashing him. It was Kevin Sorbo, the actor, was basically saying that if you're born a boy, you stay a boy, and that's a fact. So the fact that something like that can be seen as bashing is the crux of the problem to me here. They're put on the defense by the left. They're told they're under attack, and they're acting out in a violent fashion because of that.
I think so. I'm so fascinated by this. You've got 3 kids. I've got 3 kids. I don't know how much attention you pay to their social media feeds, meaning what they watch online, because that's where they spend all their time, YouTube, everything else. It seems to me, and again, I've got 3 boys, so it might be a bit different because I know you've got, I think, a daughter and 2 boys.
Yeah.
That there is online a unregulated attack on the woke world that is way more venomous than I think a lot of people recognize. And I've kind of talked with Buck about this, but this anti-trans agenda is actually now, I would say, under 20-year-olds, particularly boys, are just over the BS on a level that I don't think society has really recognized yet, Carol, because they're saying, it's people over the age of 50 that just don't get the trans world, and they're the ones that are bigots and transphobes and everything else. I actually think the younger kids see it for the absurdity that it is on a level that's not being talked about yet.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. It's that younger generation, Gen Alpha or whatever, that I think they realize the absurdity of what has happened, because I think the generation directly above them were the ones that were so susceptible to this mass delusion. And, when we moved to Florida my daughter was in the middle of 6th grade. She had, I would say, over 10 friends in New York who considered themselves trans. They might have said they were the opposite gender, or they might have said that they were non-binary or whatever. She moves to Florida and there is 0. She has 0. And that's a real, how does that happen? How does that happen if this is not a social contagion, if it's occurring naturally in nature, the way that they say? She still knows the same number of gay people, if that didn't change. So I think that the younger generation has realized that it was something that spread among the slightly older people around them, and that they don't want any part of that. It's considered something mock-worthy now. Like, you don't know what gender you are, you're non-binary, that's ridiculous.
There's been some major news on this. We're speaking to Carol Marowitz. The Carol Marowitz Show is on the Clay and Buck Podcast Network. Go listen. She does a fantastic job. There's the news that has been breaking about the medical field now having to take notice of these lawsuits. And just yesterday, I think it was NYU Langone, major hospital in New York, based out of New York City. They have said, look, because of the regulatory environment, I think what they mean by that is we don't want to get sued. They're stopping transition care for minors.
Right.
And, this is actually happening. And I think it's important for people to realize that you can win this battle. You can stop them from giving 14-year-olds hormones that are going to have terrible effects on their growth and development, stop them from having breast removal surgery, top surgery as they call it, because they think they're a boy. I mean, it's crazy stuff. This is actually, though, taking real effect now.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I think that when that New York jury awarded the detransitioner the $2 million award, it was the first of its kind. It was the first medical malpractice of its kind to go to trial. And I think that really sent shockwaves through the entire, industry. The doctors who had not been held accountable suddenly were going to be held accountable. In fact, the girl in that case, she argued that her psychologist, pushed the idea on her and that she was impressionable and her mom was afraid, and they just went along with it because they were guilt tripped into it. And, the numbers are like, I think it was around close to 4,000 adolescents, 12 to 18, transitioned. And that's just in like 4 years, from 2016 to 2020, according to the Department of Health and Human Services. That is an insane number of people who can look back at it and say, wait, what did I do? Why did I destroy my body? Why did I ruin my ability to have children? But you know what the real thing is to me, guys? We were told this wasn't happening. How could they be stopping procedures that we were told were not happening? It was always like, oh, it's ridiculous. Young people are not having these procedures. You have to be 18. And here they are admitting that they were doing procedures like this, and now that they're going to stop.
Since we've already been talking about the most difficult topic on the planet, which is trans-related surgeries, I'm going to throw you another tough universe to step into. And I don't know if we've asked you this yet, Carol. I believe that it would be fair to call you a Swiftie in that you and your daughter have been to many Taylor Swift concerts. Among the greatest of all my predictions is that Taylor Swift is the modern day Beatles. Buck Sexton is outraged by my comparison of the two. Is that a crazy opinion in your mind? And how would you assess it through not only the prism of your own life, but also through your daughter's and presumably many of her friends that have a strong affinity for Taylor Swift?
I really like Taylor Swift. I don't know if I get to be called a Swiftie. I couldn't name all of her music, but I have been to the show. My daughter and I went in Liverpool like 2 years ago. It was so much fun. She's a fantastic singer-songwriter. I think that her, as a lyricist, she's unbelievable. Beatles, I don't know. But yeah, she's a cultural force. I actually thought you were going to ask if she goes on to have children, is that going to cause some sort of baby boom among the women who were told that, oh, you don't need babies to be happy. I think a Kelsey baby that Taylor Swift is carrying around is going to do more for fertility rates than any government program.
But do you think that Taylor Swift
are you going to sign on with my take, or are you Buck's take that this is a ridiculous take?
That she's comparable to the Beatles?
Yes.
I mean, yeah, she's comparable to the Beatles. She's comparable to Madonna. She's comparable to any humongous artist of their time. Sure.
I just think that we're forgetting.
I knew I liked Carol. She's an astute observer of the human condition and regularly analyzes in a perceptive way the larger media ecosystem. I've always said that.
I mean, I just think that you look at the Beatles, maybe had the biggest impact on music globally over the last 100 years.
Carol, I have grown. The beard has started to come back in. The mustache is longer. I'm going to make a decision going forward, how exactly this decision is going to go. But I mean, look, let's be honest. I am the most trusted mustache in news.
Well, yeah, that's true.
It's not a lot of competition, but that makes me the most trusted.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think, it's time to shave that. And I'm not just saying that because I like your wife.
Wow. I think the mustache is great.
Buck is a fan.
Well, that's the wrong opinion, right. Buck.
Well, I'm entitled. There we go. Go check out the Carol Marowitz Show, everybody. Check it out on the Clay and Buck Podcast Network. Ms. Marowitz, great to have you as always.
Guys.
Imagine walking into a cavernous building full of old school electronic equipment. rows and rows of VHS machines, Super 8 film projectors, photo scanners, audio cassette machines, you name it. This is what Legacy Box looks like here in my home state of Tennessee, down in Chattanooga, where my mom grew up, and I spent a lot of time. And in fact, with Adam and Nick, I'm going to be seeing them next week, because Adam and Nick are awesome. Look, they built a really successful business. You know what they're also fighting for? A crazy idea. Let's balance budgets. And so they've got an organization called In the Black, which focuses on governments not overspending, that they help support. I'm going to be talking with them about it next week. But these guys are they're great American patriots who have built a business that is having a tremendous amount of success because they're trying to preserve family memories. They want you to be able to share your old VHS cassette tapes, your 8mm, film reels, your old photos, whatever it might be. What would happen? What would happen if, unfortunately, you had a flood, or if your, let's say your garage caught fire, something goes wrong, and all those old family memories, well, they may not survive the disaster. Or if you've got somebody who is your family member, elderly, and they're putting them in the garage, or in the attic, and you just don't know where they are. They can get lost in transition from a move, everything else. What if you digitized them once and for all to make sure all those great family memories are shareable with the kids and the grandkids? That's what Legacy Box does. It's super easy. You send in your originals. They digitize them. They send you back your old copies. We've both done it. You will love it. Go get hooked up today. LegacyBox.com. 50% off today. That's legacybox.com/Clay, legacybox.com/Clay for 50% off.
You ain't imagining it. The world has gone insane. Reclaim your sanity with Clay and Buck. Find them on the free iHeartRadio app or wherever you get your podcasts.
You know, in today's world, it's easy to feel overwhelmed. News cycles move faster than ever. Daily stress piles up, and uncertainty about the future can weigh heavily on our hearts. All of that adds up, leaving so many of us searching for a place of clarity, encouragement, and peace. Here's one place online that delivers on that: intouch.org. It's the online home of Dr. Charles Stanley's ministry, and it's more than just a website. It's transformation. There you'll find sermons that speak directly to real-life challenges, devotionals you can read every single day, and practical tools that give you strength when you need it most. You'll also discover podcasts, articles, and Bible study guides that help you grow deeper in your faith and apply God's truth to everyday life. If you're looking to grow spiritually, to find peace in the chaos, or to gain wisdom for the decisions ahead, intouch.org is there for you. Take a few minutes today. You'll be glad you did.
Time for a sofa upgrade? Introducing Anabay Sofas, where designer style meets budget-friendly prices. Anabay brings you the ultimate in furniture innovation with a modular design that allows you to rearrange your space effortlessly. Perfect for both small and large spaces, Anabay is the only machine-washable sofa inside and out. Say goodbye to stains and messes with liquid and stain-resistant fabrics that make cleaning easy. Liquids simply slide right off. Designed for custom comfort, our high-resilience foam lets you choose between a sink-in feel or a supportive memory foam blend. Plus, our pet-friendly, stain-resistant fabrics ensure your sofa stays beautiful for years. Don't compromise quality for price. Visit washablesofas.com to upgrade your living space today. Sofas start at just $699 with no risk returns and a 30-day money-back guarantee. Get up to 60% off plus free shipping and free returns. Shop now at washablesofas.com. Offers are subject to change and certain restrictions may apply.
These days, it seems like AI agents are just about everywhere you turn, every field and every function. But without identity, you can't trust they'll serve your business instead of jeopardizing it. Fortunately, Okta helps you get identity right by securing your AI agents' identities, giving you a single layer of control, a single standard of trust. So whether an AI agent supports a single user or your entire enterprise, with Okta, you'll turn risk into opportunity. Secure every agent. Secure any agent. Okta secures AI.
Running a business is hard enough, so why make it harder with a dozen different apps that don't talk to each other? One for sales, another for inventory, a separate one for accounting. Before you know it, you're drowning in software instead of growing your business. This is where Odoo comes in. Odoo is the only business software you'll ever need. It's an all-in-one, fully integrated platform that handles everything. CRM, accounting, inventory, e-commerce, HR, and more. No more app overload. No more juggling logins. Just one seamless system that makes work easier. And the best part? Odoo replaces multiple expensive platforms for a fraction of the cost. It's built to grow with your business, whether you are just starting out or already scaling up. Plus, it's easy to use, customizable, and designed to streamline every process, so you can focus on what really matters, running your business. Thousands of businesses have made the switch, so why not you? Try Odoo for free at odoo.com. That's ODOO.com.
Welcome back in. Play Travis Buck Sexton show. Rolling into the third hour here in a bit. But yesterday, I believe it was yesterday, President Trump had a Black History celebration in the White House. And a grandma got up, and she has gone mega viral for what she said. And you can enjoy that here. This is a pro-Trump grandma. Listen.
The beautiful bill that's going to change crime in the district. If you kill somebody, okay, you take a life, you do life. Just that simple. If you do a harsh crime, you do harsh time. Just that simple. And if we need National Guard, and which we did years ago, he brought it on. I love him. I don't want to hear nothing you got to say about that racist stuff. And don't be looking at me on the news hating on me because I'm standing up for somebody that deserves to be standing up for. Get off the man's back. Let him do his job. He's doing the right thing. Back up off of him. And Grandma said it.
That is the grandma said it. A lot of you nodding along out there. That was yesterday in the White House, as President Trump, honored Black History and actually spent a decent amount of time, I believe, based on the clips that I saw, also talking about the Reverend Jesse Jackson, who he got along with. Trump did, quite well. And issued a statement that I thought was, very kind, on the passing at 84 years old of Jesse Jackson. One other good bit of news here as we finish the hour, since I'm trying to look and make sure we got good news. 30-year mortgage rates are hitting 4-year lows today, Buck. I don't know how much attention it's going to get. They're still high, right at 6% on a 30-year. And I know many of you out there have got 3%, 3.5%, 4% mortgages, and so you're not going to be moving. But these mortgage rates coming down to an era before they started to skyrocket because of Joe Biden's inflation, it is hugely important to the American economy because we have to get more houses on the market. Pricing will be more reasonable, all those things. So many people are not willing to move because of the mortgages that they have. We get them back down to 5%. It's going to make a tremendous difference. We could be moving in that direction at some time this year, but mortgage rates, 30 years, have hit a 4-year low, worth mentioning for people out there as the spring shopping season for homes gets closer and closer. I think there may be a little bit more thawing because so many people are just not willing to move based on the 15 and 30-year mortgage rates that they got. I know a bunch of you are nodding along right now because you're saying, hey, I can sell my home, but I'm going to have to pay way more in mortgage rates no matter where I move. And that is often true for a lot of people out there. So, that is worth, mentioning and is positive.
Very, very nice. Everyone can sleep soundly at night knowing that the mortgage rate has dropped some basis points.
Here, by the way, we've said a lot of positive thing about Buck's book, which is surging the bestseller list. A VIP did find a typo, Buck. And because this audience is more obsessed with grammar than anyone, he felt compelled to write in. The book is excellent, but just letting you know that contact tracing was spelled contract tracing on page 8. Buck, how dare you?
That typo, I caught it when I was doing the audiobook of Manufacturing Delusion, which you should all go download if you have not already. Go get that audiobook. But Clay, when I was reading it, that one hit me hard, man. That was the one typo.
I told you that the toughest thing about doing an audiobook is you see things that you want to fix and it's too late because they're off to the printer already. I
read the manuscript, the final manuscript, 30 times through. Yep. I mean, so many, to the point where it was I my eyes were falling out of my head, and I didn't catch that one. So that was the one typo that we weren't able to fix that I knew was there. But I promise next edition, it'll be gone.
Feeling overwhelmed by stress and uncertainty? You're not alone, and encouragement is closer than you think. At intouch.org, Dr. Charles Stanley's ministry provides powerful sermons, daily devotionals, and resources designed to strengthen your faith. It's more than information, it's transformation. Discover peace in the chaos, clarity in confusion, and practical wisdom for everyday life. Whether you're seeking hope, guidance, or simply a reminder of God's presence, intouch.org is here for you. Visit today. You'll be glad you did.
Sink into affordable luxury. Anabay is the only machine washable sofa, inside and out. With stain-resistant slip covers and a cloud-like frame duvet, everything goes right in the wash. Plus, the modular design lets you change the look of your space anytime. Visit washablesofas.com to upgrade your home. Shop up to 60% off site-wide, with sofas starting at just $699 and a 30-day money-back guarantee. Shop now at washablesofas.com. Offers are subject to change, and certain restrictions may apply.
These days, it seems like AI agents are just about everywhere you turn, every field and every function. But without identity, you can't trust they'll serve your business instead of jeopardizing it. Fortunately, Okta helps you get identity right by securing your AI agents' identities, giving you a single layer of control, a single standard of trust. So whether an AI agent supports a single user or your entire enterprise, with Okta, you'll turn risk into opportunity. Secure every agent. Secure any agent. Okta secures AI.
Wellness doesn't have to be perfect, just personal, and how your space makes you feel. Pura's Well-Being Collection is thoughtfully crafted to support energy, focus, relaxation, and sleep through scent. From soft florals to grounding woods, each fragrance is designed to create small, feel-good moments throughout your day. Because sometimes, feeling better starts at home. Discover what your space needs at pura.com/moods.
This is an iHeart podcast. Guaranteed human.